What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today is episode 121, and today is going to be part 3 in the series of the basics of Tradingview. So I recently started the series just to give you guys an overview of the basics of Tradingview and how you could essentially use Tradingview to achieve your long-term goal, which is building your wealth. All right. So most of you who follow me already know that I primarily trade options just to get extra income so that I can use this to further my long-term investing goals. So I would say about 2/3 of the profits that I do make goes right back into investing into my long-term companies that I'm holding for the long term. All right, so you could actually use this to build your wealth. Whether you have a job or you own a business, you can actually do this on the side and make extra money. And if you become good at it, you could make consistent money. All right, and at the end of the day, that's what I try to focus on. Some people try to focus on the numbers, trying to get bigger numbers, of course. That's the end goal, to get bigger numbers. But first you want to focus on consistency, consistently becoming, profitable at your trades, and having a strategy that is sustainable, because if it's sustainable, you will reach your goal. If you're doing some type of strategy that's not really sustainable, chances are you won't get to your goal. All right. So the whole purpose of this series, like I said, is to get you guys familiarized with Tradingview. This is a tool that you would use to predict the price action based on previous price action. So based on history. And yes, you have people who buy options and don't use any charts, and they hit. They make money, probably about 50% of the time though. If you want to improve your odds, you definitely want to learn how to use the charts. All right. So in this particular video, part 1, we went over some basic drawing tools, trendline tools. Part 2, we also touched on more trendline tools as well as the favorites pop-up bar. And then in this video, we're going to go over putting it all together on the daily chart, and then drawing the lines, as well as looking at using the forecasting tool to see if we can figure out where this thing is going, and then try to find a call that's going to be future dated to see if we could put things in motion. All right, so today is pretty much just putting together the information that we learned in part 1 and part 2 as far as the trend lines, and now we're just going to go ahead and try to put it together. All right, so here we have Tradingview pulled up, right? And we have QQQ. As you guys can see, it is on the daily chart, and as you can see, this ETF has been trending over time. All right, if we go ahead and just pinch zoom and kind of zoom in here, right, just to make the candles a little bit bigger, you guys will notice here that right now, pre-market, the price of the asset is around 485. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just look at some key levels. So we're gonna first go ahead and select our horizontal tool. All right, so we're gonna click it. We could select it from here, or we could select it from our favorites bar, which is down here, right? Favorites bar, as you guys know, you can move it around. All right, so we have the horizontal tool selected. So what I usually like to do, I'll go ahead and zoom out, right? I'll zoom out just so I could see exactly what's going on. And I would say at this point, this is probably the lowest level that I want to get to. So let's go ahead and have this reselected again. And let's say we'll go ahead and just click here, right? So we could get a line drawn here. All right. So now as you guys can see, we have a line drawn here. And we're gonna go ahead and select the horizontal tool again, and we're gonna go ahead and just tap and get another line here. So all I'm trying to do is just connect areas of interest. All right, so I noticed it came all the way down to this line, so we want to go ahead and have that line selected, right? We want to set that line up. And I notice here we have another touch, right? So we put another line here, and then obviously this is the ceiling, all right, or in this case resistance. So this is the highest level that the ETF is at now. QQQ is at its highest level. It's actually at an all-time high right now. All right, so these are some of the key levels that I would look at. Now if you want to go ahead and say get more detailed, then what I would do is I would switch from say the daily here, and I would go down to like a lower time frame, so say like a 1 hour time frame, and then that just kind of gives you an idea of like zooming in on the price action to see if there's anything else, if you spot any other levels that may be a level of interest for you. All right, but right off the rip right here, I see these 3 points here. So this would be, you know, support. This would also be support too. But right now, this, based on where the actual asset price is now, this is the lowest level. So you're talking around, what is this, 417, 415, right? 415. And then at its highest, it's right now it's at 485. Do I see it going back to this? Probably not. So we could realistically click this one, right? And we could go up here, click on this, and we could choose clone. And automatically you see the system actually just moves it up to the next level, the next touch, right? So this is the next low, and this was around 441. Now this is actually a realistic level. It was at 441 not so long ago. I'll just move this out the way so you guys can see. Let me just put this off to the side here. But if we go back to this level, look at the date. It was at this level here on Tuesday the 4th of June. That's not that long ago. Today is what, the 18th? So that's not that long ago. So this is a realistic level. So let's say this is our support, right? So let's go ahead and just get our text tool here. So let's go ahead and just label this, right? Sorry. Let's label this support. Probably gonna bring the font down on this. It's a little bit not so small. Probably like say what, 16? Yeah, somewhere around here. All right. So we're gonna label this area as support, right? And we're obviously going to select this line, and then we're gonna go to our templates, and we're gonna change the color on this line to a support line. All right, so we change this to support, and then obviously this one here, which is as high as it is now, we're gonna say let's call this resistance. All right, so we could select this text, right click, we could also clone it, we could just move it up here, right? And then we could double click it and just call this resistance. So QQQ has been on a monster run. Let's change color on this one to green. All right, so we have support, we have resistance. All right, so let's just kind of move this out over here, so it's kind of like not in the way. All right, so we have, this is our support line, and then this is our resistance line, and this is pretty much what I would do. I would go ahead and just plot this out, and then, like I said, depending on how I'm playing it, I would then decide what time frame I would go to. So if I'm doing swings, meaning a swing is where you take an option that you're anticipating it's gonna take a couple days for it to reach your target. All right, so if I was doing swings, I would stay on a daily. But let's say I'm doing something intraday, so I am working with trying to do my trade during the day, then I would go to the 4-hour chart, or I would go to the 1-hour chart, and I'll just show you guys that real quick. If I go to the 4-hour chart, right, you scroll down here, it's gonna be a little bit different, but you notice that my lines are still in place. You still see my support, you still see my resistance. We go down here now and we go to our 1-hour time frame, right? Still see the lines, but as you can see, more candles. So what happens is this, right? When you're on the 1-day chart, each candle that's here represents 1 day. So as you go to a different time frame, if you go to the 4-hour, then each candle represents 4 hours, right? Which is pretty much like the trading day. Then you have the 1-hour time frame, and you could go from the 1-hour, most people go to the 15-minute, then from the 15 to the 5, and then from the 5 the 1. The 1 minute is usually very popular with people who scalp. However, you want to be able to use that in conjunction with, say, like a higher time frame. So some people will use the 1 and the 5 minute, or they'll use the 1 and the 15-minute, right, if you're scalping. And the whole purpose of that is you wanna, if you're just on the 1 minute alone, right, you might scalp, you might get overzealous, jump out, and if you look at the 15-minute chart, you would see that it's actually still trending up. So on the 1 minute, you might see a slight pullback and go, oh, let me get out. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're taking profits, take profits, But if you are looking also at a higher time frame, it could give you a better forecast of exactly where it's going. So you will be able to say stomach or weather that slight pullback on the 1 minute, because when you're looking at the 15-minute as well, you will see that the asset is actually still in an upward trend. That's why you'll see, like, a lot of guys that trade, they have multiple screens going. Sometimes they're watching correlated assets, so someone's watching, say, QQQ, they'll probably also be watching Microsoft or Nvidia on another screen, and then they'll have different screens for different time frames. For my people that's working on the phones, I know guys that just trade on their phones heavily. It's kind of restrictive. I've done it too, and they have 3-4 phones for this reason. All right, so that's the whole purpose of using different time frames. But if you're just doing a swing, then using the daily is perfect. All right, so I hope this information made sense to you guys. If you have any questions, you could drop it in the comments. Here's my Instagram. You can shoot me a DM. I respond pretty much to everyone. So you could shoot me a DM if you want, or you could just leave it in the comments. I prefer the DM, to be honest with you. But yeah, this is pretty much how I do the layout. So now, if you look, like I said, from this time frame, this is, if you go from, say, here, right, to where it is now, what is that? From the 6th, say from this point, right? Let's go from this point, right? So here is Friday the 31st of May. You go from here to where it's at now, which is up here, right? It's just shooting up crazy. So it's running. Let's assume that it's going to continue this bull trend, because as you see, their lows, just like I showed you guys yesterday how to do this, they're lows, but they're all higher lows. So this is a low, but this low is higher. This is another low, this low is higher. It's trending. This low, even though this low, because if I was to draw a line here, I'm sure it would connect, boom. This low was a little bit lower, but it came down, touched this line, came all the way back up. And this was all the way back, when was this? April. All right. So it keeps getting higher lows, which means the stock overall is trending up. So now we're going to take a look at using the forecast tool, and we're going to try to see if we could get an idea of where this stock is potentially going to go. So forecast tool is here. As you guys know, it's one of my favorites. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on this, and this is the forecast tool. So we click, and we want to go up to this point where it is, so this high point, and we want to drag it. And now I'm looking for a psychological level, and the psychological levels are usually like round numbers. So I want to say if it's at 486, let's see if we could bring this down. I want to get to like 500. All right, so somewhere around all right, so 500, right? So from here to here, we're at 500. This is a 3.39% move. That's what it's saying. And it's anticipating here that it would get to this within 23 days. 23 days, I'd say a month. I kind of like to give myself extra time, to be honest with you. So I would stretch this out. I would say, let's give it about 2 months. So now we're going to go ahead and hop into Robinhood, right? And we're going to pull up QQQ, and we're going to look at a 500 call. But instead of going with 23 days, I'm going to go with probably like around 60 days. Just to see exactly where it's going, and we'll look at the price, and then we'll go from there. All right, so here we are inside of Robinhood. We do have QQQ pulled up. Current price, as you see, is 486.11. So, stock's just been raging. Just look at it over the last week. Just boom, 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 just surging like crazy. And you guys know this is an ETF that pretty much is heavy on tech. Microsoft has been surging. If you guys look at it, Nvidia has been surging. Nvidia had the stock split like last week, and when it split, it was like 120. It dipped down to 117. If you got in at that point, you were good, because now Nvidia is like 131. Apple is also surging. So there's a big surge going on right now with tech and the whole AI thing. A lot of these companies are just like flying off the hinges. So QQQ is really surging. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at that 500 call. So we're going to go down here. We're going to click on trade options. All right, but remember I said I wanted to go, even though it says like 20 something days, right? I wanted to see if I could go out probably like to 60 days. So let's go here. So today is what? The 18th. So let's look at, say, June 18th. So what, August? Like August 18th? Right? Okay. So August 16th. Say 59 days. All right. So we're gonna now go ahead and look at this 500 strike right here. So as you could see, 500 gives you the numbers. We click on it, right? Just look at this. Look at the volume. The volume is 7,285. And you guys know I like 4-digit volumes. Open interest is actually a 5-digit number, right? 10,318. So obviously a lot of people are looking at this, and you guys know how I feel about psychological levels. 500 is a nice round even number. You know, QQQ in the last couple of days has moved several dollars. So, you know, it moving from 486 to 500. What is that? What is that, like a $14 move? It's not unlikely. All right. So volume looks good. Open interest looks good. The delta is 36. All right. So what we're going to do now is, I'm not saying you should buy this. You know, I'm not saying I'm buying this. But what we could do is we could go ahead and click on this little link right here, add to watch list. And what that's going to do, it's going to put this option on our watch list so we could see exactly where it's going. Also, if you have Robinhood on your phone, which I'm sure you do, it will give you notifications when this option starts to move. All right. So this is just an idea that I'm throwing out there to you guys based on what the charts are saying here, based on these higher lows indicating that there's a trend upwards, based on the fact that we plugged in the forecasting tool, right? Took it up to the 500 level. It's telling us 23 days. We're giving ourselves extra time. So we're giving ourselves like 59 days to get to that level. So we're going to watch this option and see exactly where it's going. Now, this option is actually not cheap. So if we go back to the option, right? And we look at the price, it's $711. So this is $7.11, and you multiply it by 100. So it's $711. So it's not a cheap option. But if this option starts to move, and you know, you have the patience to sit and wait it out, I could potentially see this option being very profitable. All right. But but that's it. That's it for the video, guys. I just wanted to show you guys my process as far as putting it together with the trend lines, part 1 and 2. This whole scenario, like I said, is based around doing a swing. So we went over, we looked at the lows, we identified the lows, we identified a realistic support level, and we identified a resistance level, which is the highest point that it is. Then from that high point, we went ahead and also looked at an area where the price could actually reach a psychological level, which is 500, right? And we used our forecast tool to do that. It told us that it's going to take 23 days to get to that level. We decided to watch an option, which actually is going to take about 59 days. It's given us about 59 days. So it's enough time for it to play. I'm going to have this option on watch, and I'll do an update in part 4, just showing you guys exactly where it's going. All right. But that's it for the video today, guys. I hope you found this information useful. If you did, please consider subscribing. I make new videos like this every day. Go ahead and like this video and share this video with a family member or a friend. Towards the end of the video, you'll see a couple of cards pop up on the screen in some of my more popular videos. Please go ahead and click and watch one of those videos. I drop gems in almost every video. If you didn't watch part 1 and part 2 of this series, please go ahead and do that before you actually get deep into this video. But you could also watch it in reverse if you want to. All right. Thanks again for watching the video. Y'all stay safe. Please note that the market's going to be closed on Wednesday for Juneteenth. So try to see if you can make some money in the market within this short week. All right. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.